Why Canada the 51st state? Number one reason, it's screaming out all over media by the filthy actor politicians here in Canada. Gross propaganda, slamming Trump, using all the same foreign interference polling companies in the last USA election we had in November, where Trump steamrolled it, and he's steamrolling in poll companies now. 538, that's the count of Senate and Congress, United States of America. Their top polling company, like our 338, can actually trust them to a better degree than you can all of these other independents. And of course, a pile of them owned and operated by the United Kingdom or your country, my country, Canada. What are our people doing there running American polls? Well, it's called foreign interference. USA sees it. If you haven't been watching the news, if you're a snowbird, we knew this was coming, but come April 12th, you want to spend more than 30 days in the United States, you have to register with the authorities. You have to get an I-94. Yeah, you got to go through all of that. Goodbye, preferred Canadian visitor status. Never mind, we've lost all our immigration rights we held just a few short years ago. We used to freely be able to travel to the United States. We used to, with our talents and skills. If you had bettered yourself, you could easily get a green card in the United States. Not anymore. This is largely done by your country. And this number one reason why is we are functioning as an electoral autocracy. It's published universally. Doesn't matter Democrat or Republican leaning academic alike. It was a huge study done, and Canada, as its true form does it from coast to coast. When's the last time we've seen some scheduled elections? What do I mean by that? I mean every 4 years, a set date, meaning politicians have to run with the mandate. When those 4 years are up, they hold an election, and the people look back on that 4 years and make a determination. But when you start having any time you want elections, you've removed that. You've removed all of what very little accountability and real democracy you had left, Canadians. It's gone. From Alberta to Ontario, now we see with PEI, Newfoundland, premiers, prime ministers now resign at will. I quit. Now the crown takes over. We're going to have an election while I sit here resigned and I deem fit. I'm going to watch the electorate and I'll determine the optimum time I should call an election. Now, folks, this is terrible. Literally tens of thousands of Albertans loving and liking on Danielle Smith and her post just 12 hours ago, last night. And she says, oh, Mark Carney should call an election right now. It's demanded. Have a scheduled election now. And it's like, well, you didn't. You didn't. Now let's review Danielle Smith going back to 2022. And Danielle Smith ran for leadership after one Jason Kenney resigned early. Didn't even finish his 4-year term. He quit with less than 3 years under his belt. And he quit. He said, I'm done. It was me. He said, I'm finished. I'm out of here. Everyone hates me, and rightfully so. He had a budget like nobody ever before him in Alberta history. Shameful, disgusting. None of his economic measures worked out. Radical immigration. So he resigns. But the transition takes more than 6 months. They prorogue the legislature. 6 months, nobody goes to work. Nobody goes to work. Danielle Smith has a leadership contest with other candidates who are all in her cabinet now today. She runs that. She wins with a fraction of the electorate, just like Mark Carney, members of UCP in Alberta, not even making up 6% of the electorate in Alberta. She rises to power. When did she schedule an election? Well, you had to wait again for a general election. More than 6 months. 1 year. 1 year and 14 months. The legislature sat for an equivalent of 6 weeks in 14 months. Canadians, Albertans, you're not a beacon of hope to the United States of America. Donald J. Trump, Ludnick, all of them are like, get away. You people disgust me. We don't have a relationship with you. We don't want a relationship with you. You are malfunctioned. Doug Ford just did the same thing. Now, he didn't resign. He just calls a snap election. Hey, I'm going to become very unpopular. Let's have a snap election. PEI Newfoundland, they quit, and now they're going to hold early elections so that they can strengthen their majority, because they don't want to worry about having to back down on their word and go 180 degrees like they're going to. They're all going to betray you. Just like Danielle Smith. She's betrayed Albertans on all of her platform policies. Every single one. None of them worked out. None of them. Not a one. Not a one. And folks, when she waited on that election at the time, whether you like it or not, it's not about what you like. It's about track records. She held back all those months while Alberta taxpayers paid for all of those 87 MLAs who largely, most of them weren't even in Canada. They were on permanent holiday with their families, even children in private education schools abroad, so their parents could enjoy the wicked 12-month and some out of 14-month holiday at your expense. No work done, nothing done for Alberta's benefit. We lost all our energy contracts, every single one. Why? Because nobody was working, no one was getting the job done. It's why Alberta's screwed today. Completely screwed. And Albertans don't see it. By tens of thousands, they say, yeah, Mark Carney, you should hold to this, you should do this. But yet, Danielle Smith didn't do any of that just a year ago. Just a little over a year ago. She didn't do any of those things she's telling Carney to do today. She lost 11 seats. She might have even lost the title of Premier had she had an election at the time of that she's calling Carney to do. You see here, everybody, it does not matter left to right. There is no functioning democracy in Canada anymore. All Republican, all Democrat academics have published this after a 4-year study. Canada, which is a constitutional monarchy, you're told this over and over in your constitution, and the entire world, out of 193 nations, 192 tell you that. Yet, there's a pile of propaganda and Canadians themselves that don't believe this. They have some kind of other narrative. You apparently don't even understand this, but the rest of the world does. Even a majority, mass majority of the third world knows exactly what you are, but you apparently don't in a clear majority. If polled today, Canadians would think they're a functioning democracy. They'd say, no, we're not a constitutional monarchy. That is gross, sick, and sad. And out to the world, it tells everybody that you're all institutionalized in a clear majority, that obviously the education system in Canada is completely and utterly broken. and it's always been broken. It's scary. It's tremendously scary. Canadians believe they have sovereignty. First Peoples, at least at the chief level, say, oh, sovereignty. But there is none, not for any of the people. First People and Canadians alike. America cries out to you and tells you this. And all of our problems are not going away. There's no USMCA out of this. It goes beyond that treaty and a multitude of others. In fact, it's so high, Canada, that you can't achieve it. There's no reasonable path to you giving up a third of your economy to the United States in order to achieve parity with all of your treaties, which means America has to put you down. Now, the reasonable way to do that is say, hey, listen, you're broken, you're not democratic, we're going to absorb you, you're going to go through statehood. This is the logical, normal path forward in Webster's definition of annexation, meaning the sphere of American influence at its over $30 trillion economy has outgrown the boundaries of Canada. It's time to be absorbed. You're not a functioning country anymore. You can't stand the way you are. You haven't shown any ability to do that by the people, for the people. There's no way you're ever going to modernize on the political front. In fact, you're stuck in an old world system. And there's a multitude of promises from prime ministers in Canada from the past all the way up to World War II who guaranteed that they were going to achieve and do all these things, election cycle after election cycle. USA has all this history. I have it all. I can show you from Liberal to the then Liberal Conservative Party of Canada, which is our progressive conservative, Canadian Conservative Party of Canada today, or former progressive conservatives nationally. And, you know, it's sad that people won't look at their past, not even just 2 years ago. Albertans completely forget. It's okay to be in the pure autocracy as long as my perceived objectives are there. That's the wrong answer. And Americans, both sides of the aisle will tell you that if you lose those scheduled elections, you lose term limits, you're hopeless. You're a populist moving blind electorate under slavery. Absolute and undisputable slavery system. And they will not align with us ever more. I can promise you, outside of Joe Biden, the bulk of every Democratic presidency matches tit for tat everything that Donald J. Trump is publicly stating today on a megaphone out on the world stage with his own social media platform. Everything he's saying and doing, I can tell you Barack Obama and many other Democrat presidencies before him were shouting and doing the same, at least behind closed doors with all of your former Canadian prime ministers. All of the same, word for word, same issues, same threat of tariffs, same issues with treaties, and you've got to pay. The number is swollen past 200 billion. In Barack's time, it was 150 billion. We're now at 200 billion. And this goes beyond USMCA, folks. It is not reasonably achievable in Canada and Canada's system today, not without monumental change that requires dismemberment and redesign of the constitutional acts of Canada. That is ranked virtually impossible in the United States of America and all of their academic institutions. In fact, almost all of the nations in the world's academic institutions rank Canada the worst in the entire world for seeing that kind of change. That should tell you all everything you need to know, that even the third world and even some of these autocracies themselves or tyrannical regimes know that to be true for Canada. know that to be true for Canada. That they have a cement wall against the people of Canada like no other nation in the world. And because of that, the United States will not rest ever again. And I don't think the Democrats can ever go forward against the American Republicans ever again in election cycles without having this front and center and matching tit for tat the public narrative of Donald J. Trump going forward. They will never, ever let it rest ever again. It will be made public now, because that which was behind closed doors is now going to be public ire, and it's going to be a campaign mode. A lot of propaganda, Canadian news, Canadian-owned companies operating in the States, trying to lie and sell a narrative of pumps crashing in the polls. Trump is unpopular with his economic determinations. I've got those 2 slides. I'm going to put it out, the 538. Nothing further from the truth. In fact, Americans continue to resent and hate Canada higher and higher. And like I've told you all before, come April of 2026, whatever tiny dips Donald Trump may go through, by the time tax time, 2026, and then going up and facing midterms following that, in the months after that, guess what, Canadians? You're going to be finished, done like dinner, because Americans will never wish to go back. Not with their tax savings, not with new renewed sense of purchasing power and affordability for Americans. They will take a short-term pain, but like clockwork, when the mandate, because it's scheduled 4 years, when Donald J. Trump's rewards come back, you've lost the American electorate, a mighty American electorate who will never go back, which means the support for any candidate that's active today will be non-existent by that time. That's my video, folks. Get it out there. Share, share, share. People need to know. This is a wake-up call for all those who can't see, who don't want to see. You live in an autocratic state. You are an electoral autocracy. You are a constitutional monarchy, a disease and a scourge in this world today. You're the problem with the UN. You're the bad narratives. You're Agenda 2030. You're WEF. Your IOM, and many, many more. All of it, all those narratives, you lead it. Your government, your regimes, from the far left to the far right and everything in between. You are forefront. You are the corruption against the allies of World War II. And this coming week, there's going to be a lot you're going to see from me. A lot. Monumental things. God bless everybody. Bye now.